12:30, and welcome everybody to this meeting of the Growth Committee for November 21st. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for October 31st. Can I get a mover, please? Donna, a seconder, Jerry. Thank you very much. Next item, approval of the agenda. Get a mover, Jerry and Donna. Thank you again. Any disclosures of conflict of interest? None? Okay, can I, consent agenda?
I'll move consent item 5.1 to 5.3.
Okay, Jerry, did you want to speak to any of this, or do you want to just second it? Okay, that item's passed then. We'll go on to item 7. 7.1. I think this is going over to Amy for introduction.
Yes, thank you, Deputy. I'll introduce. Good afternoon, members of the Growth Committee. At the October 16th meeting of Council, councillors were asked what their priorities were for service level enhancements for the 2024 budget. And several councillors during that meeting expressed a desire to add more bylaw enforcement officers. As you know, Community Standards is a program that falls under Growth and Community Services, and it enforces standards in a variety of property-related bylaws, including unsightly premise, zoning, bylaw compliance, and a number of other bylaws. This afternoon, I present Pamela Bentley. Pamela is our manager of the Community Standards Compliance Program, and she is going to present to you with a recommendation as to how we can enhance our bylaw enforcement service.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
I'll begin sharing my screen and then I'll start the presentation. So, one moment. All right. I hope everyone can see the opening slide.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pamela Bentley, and I manage the Community Standards Compliance Program for the City of St. John. I am presenting a request to increase resources for bylaw enforcement of the Community Standards Program. Community Standards Compliance covers a variety of property-related bylaws that are aimed at improving the quality of life and the safety of living conditions for our citizens. The program fosters community pride through the maintenance of standards that we are all asked to abide by. By maintaining these standards, it ensures that our housing is kept safe, our city is kept clean and beautiful, and that our properties are being used in a manner that is respectful to our neighbors and our community.
You went on mute there.
I apologize. I'm trying to move to the next slide. Has it come up?
Yep.
Thank you. We have 3 main programs that are under the umbrella of Community Standards Compliance.
Okay.
These are Minimum Property Standards, the Dangerous and Vacant Buildings Program.
This is a one. You don't mind? I didn't realize.
And the Community Standards Program. Many of you are familiar with the programs for Minimum Property Standards and the Dangerous and Vacant Buildings Program, so today I want to focus on the Community Standards Program. The Community Standards Program consists of activities involving the investigation and enforcement of unsightly premise conditions, the investigation and enforcement of zoning violations. These things can include investigations of complaints such as illegal repair garages or illegal number of residential units, It might include the unpermitted excavation of land or the filling of land, and it could also include the keeping of chickens. And these are just a few of the items investigated under zoning. The Community Standards Program also investigates serious dog control cases. It involves as well the inspections for pits and quarries and the inspections of mobile home parks. These concerns and complaints are all managed by one individual, a bylaw enforcement officer, with the support and assistance from the larger team. As you know, Mark O'Leary is the bylaw enforcement officer who does much of this work. Through the official establishment of the program in 2019, his work resolves an average of 100 unsightly premise cases and 25 zoning cases a year. Some cases are small and quick to complete, and others can be quite large and need a lot of time and attention. Work to clean up a property often involves several site visits and open communication with property owners. Expectations and deadlines are set, and often the work gets done without the need of formal enforcement measures. These are the best outcomes because everyone wins. The owner feels a sense of accomplishment. The bylaw enforcement officer has established a good relationship with the property owner. The community experiences a refreshing improvement in the property, and a sense of community pride is experienced. Zoning infractions can be more complicated and time-intensive to solve, and often need an investigative approach. It isn't always obvious that there's an infraction, unlike inspecting for an unsightly property. Over the past 2 years, we have noticed an increase in the calls and complaints received for unsightly premises and zoning infractions, to the tune of 70% increase for both. The increases are thought to be attributed to a few factors. The city is growing. People want to live in a beautiful, clean city. Secondly, we launched the Integrated Customer Service Center in 2021, and this streamlined the complaint reporting process. Now there is only one number for citizens to call, and all calls are dispatched quickly and to the right person. And finally, given that over 400 cases have been resolved over the past 4 years, it seems that people might be noticing that when you call, we act. So citizens have an increased confidence that complaints are investigated and resolved. And that leads to more calls, and this is great news. The downside is that one bylaw enforcement officer is no longer enough to efficiently and effectively handle the increasing number of cases. To illustrate, the graph on the screen shows the number of unsightly premise cases that are opened each year, that have been opened each year since 2019. Each bar shows the number of open cases in the year, with the blue portion representing the number of cases solved for that period, and the red is the number of cases from that year that are still active. We also see that there has been a larger increase in the number of reported cases in just the past 2 years alone, with a smaller number of these cases in a resolved status. And finally, the far column on the right represents the current number of active cases that we are carrying into 2024. Similarly, for zoning complaints, the same trend is observed. We see an increase in the number of reported issues for 2022 and 23, and we see fewer resolved cases for each of these years. And again, resolved is the blue portion of the bar on each graph. And as a result, we are also carrying many active cases for zoning into 2024. The backlog of cases for both zoning and unsightly premises has grown significantly over the past 2 years, and we no longer have a manageable caseload for one individual. We also know that during the October 16th meeting of Common Council, when each councillor was asked to identify their priorities for consideration in the 2024 operational budget, many expressed an interest in adding resources to bylaw enforcement. So for these reasons, we are asking that the Growth Committee consider our request to staff an additional person of bylaw enforcement officer for a period of up to 24 months. This will assist us in overcoming our growing backlog, deal with the new incoming complaints, and if all goes well, establish a formal compliance monitoring program for all Section 59 conditions. We project that if we add a bylaw enforcement officer for 24 months, we can double the output, resolve twice the number of cases for unsightly premises and for zoning, and this resource will help return the caseloads to a more manageable level. The cost for the proposal is $180,000, which is $90,000 a year. This would be funded from the Community Services Reserve. Not adding a resource means that we will continue with our successful resolve of 125 cases a year. However, the backlog will continue to grow. Adding a resource will help our team gradually reduce the number of open cases to a manageable level, and as a result, improve the quality of life for our citizens. Overall, it will ensure that our community is kept safe, vibrant, beautiful, and that our properties are maintained in a manner that's in conformance with the zoning bylaw. When we meet these standards, our neighborhoods flourish and thrive. Money is invested through increased development in our city, and our city grows even more because people want to live here, in a community that cares and has pride. And that concludes my presentation for today. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sorry, I was muted. That was a great presentation, Pam. I'm going to start off with Donna and then Jerry.
Thank you. I'm going to move the recommendation right off the hop. And thank you, Counselor. And I just have a quick question in the 180. That's 90 and 90. Is that all salary, or is that like resources for like a vehicle, etc.? What would be included in that? Just curious.
It's salaries and the benefits that are a part of that. We have a pool of vehicles, so we use those all together. So
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Great presentation, Pam.
Thank you.
And great need, in the community for that. I mean, it's just, I don't want to say it's discouraging that the numbers are up, but it's also encouraging because, like you say, people want to live in a neighborhood that is cleaner, etc. And they also obviously see that work is being done by the city to try to arrest some of that activity, and it's working. So it's no surprise, I guess, that we're getting the extra calls. And I think, as you said about the call center that we have, the streamlining of it now certainly makes a difference as well. So all good initiatives, and the result is to add the extra person. I think it's reasonable and the smart thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Jerry?
Yeah, I get a number of questions or statements, whatever you want to say. First of all, I'm one of those counselors that asked for more bylaw officers. Pam, right now we have nobody, correct? He's off sick?
Unfortunately, Mark is out at the moment and will be back in January.
Correct. How long has he been off, Pam?
It has been a few weeks since late September.
So we have
I'm just
had
going to
no-
interject here because I just think that when we talk about personnel and employees like that, I don't know that it's something we should be talking about.
Well, John, I'm trying to prove that there's been no bylaw officers since the end of September.
Well, we are filling in with, our own staff. We are filling the gaps as we can. Yes.
Okay,
But
perfect.
at council, Mr. Chairman, I asked for more bylaw officers, and I'm just trying to state that there has not been a bylaw officer since the end of September. That's all I'm saying. And, I think I should have the right to say that.
No, you do have the right to say that. I'm just saying we leave out the names and the reasons that, it's vacant. That's all.
I didn't state a name. Anyways, I definitely do. I agree that we need another bylaw officer with the one that is there. Like when I look at Moncton, and I do compare to a certain extent, they've always had two, and they have 10 more people that do bylaw officers different things. They're commissioners, but they were by council. They were officially made by council. They don't do all the things that a bylaw officer does, but they travel around in Moncton vehicles checking on different situations, right? I mean, St. John's a big city geographically. And for us to think that one bylaw officer could handle the complaints that we have, especially in priority neighborhoods, which we have 5, is crazy. And I'm not even sure 2 full-time bylaw officers could handle the problem. Like, Pam, how many cases that weren't resolved have gone to court in the last, we'll say 3 years, 2 years? How many have we taken to court that we didn't resolve?
For unsightly premises and
Yes,
zoning
yeah,
bylaws, we have not taken any to court. We try to proceed through actions such as
Correct.
getting voluntary compliance.
And you do show the percentage that have been resolved, but also the ones that aren't resolved.
Unfortunately, there are cases that are still ongoing and they're active.
So we go back on the chart to actually 219. So for 3 years, we haven't taken any cases to court.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'm gonna move on to Amy. She's probably got some response for you, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks. Just wanted to add a point with respect to unsightly premise in particular. We don't have to make applications to court. We actually clean them up because the legislation is different. So we clean up the sites and get the reimbursement. So those files don't actually have to go to court, but we do take formal enforcement actions and have to have them cleaned up. I just wanted to clarify that.
no, that's good,
Okay,
Amy. I remember, I think you did one out in Milledgeville there. I forget, I won't mention the guy's name, but I know you did it. So does that happen often, Amy? Like on ones we can't resolve, and the province pays us back, do they not? If we clean it up ourselves, you get people to clean it up. Has that happened often?
We have taken many cases forward. And yes, we do proceed then if the property owner does not reimburse the city for the work that's done, we then submit it to the province for those payments. So yes, we have taken a few cases over the past years. But again, once we issue an order, oftentimes the work gets done without those kind of measures having to be taken.
Okay, so
Okay.
Summing it up, John, for me, I definitely agree to have another bylaw officer. And in fact, what I see here as a counselor is that when times are tough, we back off in all kinds of different situations, i.e. the industrial park and here. And then when we do get some money, we don't increase back to where we were when we cut it off. Like, so, I mean, we're going to hire one. To me, we probably need 2. And I'm not referring to the gentleman that's off. I just think that in order to have the city beautiful and all the things Pam said, I think we need more than 1 or 2 bylaw officers. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, no, I think this is an excellent initiative. We definitely need it. Pam, you did a great job in the presentation. We've got the recommendation moved and seconded, and so I guess to make it unanimous, all 3 of us are in agreement. And thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next item, which should be 7.2, Sophie Recovery. So, Kara, is that you?
Yeah, thanks, Deputy. I'm just going to introduce the item very quickly before we hand it over to Kara. The Chief Administrative Officer referred a funding request that was received. He received a request from the Sophia Recovery Center that they are moving into a new location, consolidating their efforts in the St. John area into one building, which needs quite a bit of renovation work. They've requested $50,000 to help with that very important project. And this afternoon, Kara Coase is the Senior Manager of Community Support Services, and she is here to walk you through that request and recommendation. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Amy. Chair and committee members, as Amy mentioned, the Sophia Recovery Center submitted a business case to the CAO outlining their project plans for a new site at 238 Metcalf in the North End. Their ask of the city is for $50,000 to support this project, which is close to $1.5 million, as well as in-kind support for snow removal. Sophia Recovery Center purchased property in June of 2023 with a full renovation plan in place The project is just a few weeks behind schedule, with beginning site preparations this week and a projected completion date of February-March 2024. Sophia Recovery Center has served 300 plus women over their 2022-2023 fiscal year. And with the completion of this project, they project they'll be positioned to serve 500 plus women annually by the end of 2025. The Sophia Recovery Project aligns with council priorities Grow and Belong, and it also aligns with Play SJ and the city's municipality plan. Staff reviewed their Sophia Recovery Center in-kind request of snow removal of their driveway and parking lot. And staff concluded that city could not provide consistent service without impacting delivery of street and sidewalk snow clearing. We also reviewed that Sophia Recovery Center's business case, exploring funding options for the $50,000 request. And in accordance with the Community Services Reserve Fund policy, the CAO recommends that we move forward with the Growth Committee recommending to Common Council to approve this funding request from the Sophia Recovery Center. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kara. Any questions or comments? Can I get a mover on the recommendation? Jerry, seconder?
I'll second it. If you don't mind, I just make a couple of comments.
Sure.
The Sophia Recovery Center obviously does wonderful work, and part of the assessment that they provided for us, it says that here that they had to meet 3 big categories, which we had to have: strategic alignment, economic impact, and community impact. So, you know, that's a pretty powerful thing to have all those 3 line up, and so it's a good choice for the city of St. John. So I'm a big supporter of them as well. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we've got the mover and seconder, and I'll make it unanimous. And thank you very much, Kara, for presenting that for us.
Perfect.
And the next
Thank you.
item, please, is North End Neighborhood Grant, 7.3. Is that you, Amy?
Yes, I'll just introduce, thank you, Deputy. The development of the new North End Neighborhood Plan is intended to commence early in 2024 with completion in around middle of 2025. In preparation for this, staff has identified a funding opportunity through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund. And this afternoon, Jennifer Kushner, the Community Planning Manager, is here to speak more about that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to be, I think, fairly brief. You did get a recent update on kind of what we're tracking for the North End Plan coming up in the next year. So as we prepare for that, we have taken a look at different funding opportunities. And one that meets essentially our goals for the plan is one run by the Canadian Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So their Green Municipal Fund is one that is a long-standing fund. It was actually utilized, and we were recipients for the Central Peninsula Secondary Plan. So that was one of our funding sources when that plan was developed. This is a funding opportunity that provides really an opportunity to develop a plan, develop a framework for developing a plan that can be used elsewhere, and allows us to look at really many of the aspects of quality plan development that we look at. So sustainability, including not just environmental, but social and economic as well. So as you can well imagine, creating a sustainable neighborhood action plan and developing that for the North End will be something that we can take as essentially a framework. And as we move into other neighborhood plans, for instance, the West Side, you could definitely see how what we do in the North End can definitely be ported and carried over to other established neighborhoods within the city. The fund itself provides funding of 50% of eligible costs up to a total of $175,000. In previous budgets, we have identified $200,000 as our budget for the development of this neighborhood plan. So we would be requesting up to half of that from this particular grant body. We do have 3 resolutions that would need to be approved by council in order for us to move forward with applying for this fund. One of these is to direct the Chief Administrative Officer to develop the plan. Keep in mind, this is already in our books, in our work plan, in our initiative plan for next year. So we intend to have it happen anyway, but this is just a formality to allocate $200,000 from the growth reserve toward the development of the North End neighborhood plan, and that we also provide in-kind contributions in regards to staff time towards the cost of the initiative. So that is also required as part of the grant application to show a financial commitment by council in addition to a commitment to making the plan. And then as well to direct the Chief Administrative Officer to submit the funding application for this grant and to authorize the mayor and clerk to assign any documents that may be required as part of the application. So this will just help us move forward with plans we already have in place for developing our next neighborhood plan. And hopefully we will be successful in this application.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Do we have any comments? No? Can I get a mover for the, oh, go ahead, Donna.
I'm gonna move that.
Okay, and you second it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I just want to ask a quick question. So we said probably the 200,000 based on what we would have spent on the South Central Peninsula plan. Is that number fluid? Because if this is going to pay up to 175, which would be 50%, then that would mean that the plan, you know, for this would be, would there be that opportunity to expand our plan or to go beyond that 200, I guess, number based on, you know, the differential? It's been all those years now and everything has gone up. So is there still an opportunity to expand the cost of our plan, I guess, from our perspective to incorporate that 175?
So we are proposing to apply based on the 200,000. So that would be 100,000 from FCM. They do
Right.
have that cut. As to increasing the budget for as part of the grant request, I think I might defer to either the commissioner or David Dobbelstein in regards to kind of the budgeting. This is what we've earmarked and kind of used previously, but he could probably speak to flexibility with that.
Well, I guess what I'm just saying is that, you know, if you took 175 their half and you doubled it, it would be only 175 for us, but our plan would be valued at 350. So is there that opportunity to do that? That's where I guess I'm going with that.
Through you, Acting Vice Chair, to the Mayor. It's a great question, and it's one that we've thought through. I guess we're just trying to see what's available in CRAF. We know the baseline amount that we need to do, and the budgeted amount for developing the plan is $200,000, not inclusive of staff time. So we're going to seek additional funding to top that up. We've also applied for funding through the Housing Accelerator program to add additional fundings. And we're going to then craft the way we design the plan around the available funding. So if we get more funding, we can do more. We're going to see how much we could also hold back potentially for implementation of the plan. Right, so there's the design phase, which will take 18 months or so, and then we anticipate there's a much longer, 10, 15, 20-year timeline for actually implementing where we'll need, ongoing funding to attain those outcomes. So the point here being we do have some flexibility in how we approach this.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a mover and a
Thank you.
seconder, and I'm going to make it unanimous. Jerry, did you have something you wanted to say?
No,
Oh, okay.
meeting be
Okay.
adjourned, meeting be adjourned.
Okay, I'll take that hint. And we'll thank you all for being here today, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.